Welcome to A Seat With Sabertini. I am Gabriella Sabertini, and you are on episode 4. Okay, so episode 4 today we are talking about code switching, and it's funny because I had a conversation with my one of my friends, and I was talking about code switching, and I was kind of like a little annoyed. And we were talking about like when people go on job interviews and things like that, and I was saying I kind of get irritated with code switching. Like I am, especially in my position I'm in right now and what I do for work, I don't have to code switch. I can really just be myself, full 100% authentic. And so I was like talking about like when I was going on interviews and when I was like job hunting at one point in my life, I was like remembering I had to code switch was something that made me so uncomfortable. And so I think it's necessary, but at the same time, I don't enjoy it. So today's topic is will be code switching, and I actually did a little research on it to just kind of see what code switching, like the definition of it, the exact definition of it, because I know what it is in my terms, but I wanted to find out the exact definition of it. And so it says code switching is when someone changes the way they speak, behave, dress, or express themselves depending on who they are around or the environment they're in. Most commonly, it refers to shifting between different languages, dialects, or speech styles, but it can also include adjusting tone, body, language, or personality to fit in or be perceived a certain way. Then it said there are two common types of code switching. They said one is called linguistic code switching, which means switching between languages or dialects. So, for example, someone speaking standard American English at work, but using African American vernacular. Ooh, why did I get that weird? Vernacular. There we go. There we go. We know English, vernacular English with close friends. And so they abbreviated saying AAVE. And I don't know, when I like was doing my research and when I saw they said American English at work, but using African American vernacular English, I was like, why I gotta be African American? Why can't it be just like slang? But why do they categorize it as African American? And I'm not mad because we just came off of Black History Month, and I guess slang is like popular amongst the Black culture. However, I was kind of a little thrown off when I was doing my research and it said American English at work, but using African American vernacular English with close friends. And they had it like abbreviated AAVE. So that was very interesting when it comes to code switching, the first common type. So the second common type was social behavioral code switching, which is changing mannerisms, tone, or presentation to match a setting. So, for example, it would be being more formal and reserved in a corporate meeting, but more relaxed and expressive with family. And I felt like that should have been the first definition versus the African American vernacular. I was just like, okay. But I definitely get and understand code switching, but it also gave me little examples or pretty much prefaces to uh, why people do it. And so to be accepted or take it seriously, to avoid stereotypes or bias, to navigate different cultural spaces, or to succeed professionally. And so when I was talking to my friend about it, I was talking about it in the to succeed professionally, because when you go on job interviews and you are in professional settings, you have to speak with proper English. You have to present yourself in a polished, clean way. And so looking at it when it's saying to navigate in different cultural spaces, workspaces could be a different cultural space. To succeed professionally, it's a professional environment. So you want to show up. You don't want to show up with your hair not done. You don't want to show up with, like unpressed clothes, stained clothes. So, appearance and how you present yourself is important. And I believe that proper English in a professional setting is going to be great for your success if you're trying to get a job, especially in diverse settings where it's not only your your cultural people, it's other people, other races and nationalities. So I think about that. And so it says for many people, especially women and people of color, it can feel necessary in certain environments, but doing it consistently can also feel exhausting and inauthentic. And that was very interesting to me too, because it said especially women and people of color. And so it's like it's given code switching is mainly for minorities, but I actually know that not to be true, because if you look at certain like rappers and stuff, like if they are not black, people perceive that as them code switching and trying to fit into the culture. So when I looked at this, and it said for many people, especially women and people of color, I was like, y'all got me feeling away again. I feel away again. But this is the information I looked up, and this is what it gave me. And so it said it may feel necessary in certain environments, which I believe, once again, in professional environments is definitely necessary, because you want to show up as polished, you want to show up as professional. And so, but then again, when it says doing it consistently can also feel exhausting or inauthentic. And I really pride myself on being authentic. I pride myself on being me. I pride myself on like really zoning in on how I feel in that moment and making sure that I'm being my most authentic self. For a long time, I've worked in very high, like luxury professional settings, and like code switch, it was natural. It was just like this is, and then after a while, I would be professional in the front, like front of the um, organization, where like you're crossing paths with customers and clients. But then like behind the scenes, I'm like, I'm gonna be me. And so I always made sure I had a little bit of me. Well, now all of me, but a little bit of me when I was in those environments. But now the work that I do now, I can really be fully authentically me. And so I enjoy that, because it is exhausting, like making sure that you are, this sounds crazy, but making sure that you are meeting the standards of professionalism, and making sure that you are pronouncing all of your words. Like, I'm from Chicago, so a lot of people like see the difference between how Chicago people talk and other people talk. And so like some of my sisters are from Milwaukee, and they say car with the R. Like they say car, which I get it because it's spelled CAR. But like in Chicago, we say car. Like we don't say the R. So you're like, oh, I'm about to go get my shoes out the car. Or we'll say like over here, and we'll say over here. So I get like, the slang and things like that, and you do want to, in professional settings, pronounce fully what it is. But sometimes I'm just like used to being me. And so I am very happy that now I'm in a world where I can just speak the way I want to speak. But I do think code switching sometimes, like kind of like the research said, is necessary. I was talking to one of my friends, and he was saying he's really good at code switching. He was like, oh yeah, I got it down packed. And I was laughing because he was like proud of himself in the statement. And I got it, I get it, because like it is useful when you're working certain rooms. When you're working certain rooms, all the slang and stuff is, I would say, not necessary. Now, I get some people can go into all different rooms and just do whatever they do and be them, and I love that for them. But I do think for people to take you serious in certain settings, you do have to meet the standard of the room. And so, uh, let me know your thoughts on code switching. Let me know if you are in a profession where you have to code switch. Let me know if you don't like code switching, if you're fine with code switching, or if you're like my friend and you're like, I'm really good at this. Like, I can be this way or I can be this way. Because there's another level of code switching where you're like in a professional environment and you know how to, like speak clearly and articulate all of your thoughts and words. And then there's another setting where it's like hood and like very street, and you could fit in there too. And that's a level of code switching as well. It's like the opposite way of code switching, like not code switching to a professional way, but code switching to more of a slang, urban, hood, way when you're in that environment to honestly feel safe and fit in. Because when looking back at what my notes said about like social environments, I think about when you are navigating different cultural spaces, you want to be able to feel safe. And if you got to put a little roughness to your swag to feel safe, then I think it's necessary. So let me know your thoughts on code switching, if you are in a current profession that you have to code switch, and if you with the code switching or if you ain't with the code switching. And so now we are talking about my Bible nugget. And so, since the topic is code switching, for my Bible nugget, I wanted to talk about, I wanted to go into Genesis 41 and 14. And my baby sister, reminded me of when Joseph cleaned himself up before he went to Pharaoh when he was imprisoned, and he needed to interpretate Pharaoh's dream. So he went to Pharaoh, but before he went to Pharaoh, he cleaned himself up. He shaved and he made himself look presentable. And so I have another example with Joseph, but this is the one that my sister like reminded me of, and she was like, "That's a bit of like code switching because he didn't go in just his natural self and how he looked, but he cleaned himself up, he shaved, he made himself he appear as polished to go into that setting. So that's a level of code switching, I think. But then I also think there is a level of just being polished and looking professional. So that can align in that level of, was he comfortable with all of like his hair pretty wild and grown out, or um, was he not comfortable and he's shaved for himself? But I think it's the other way around. I think he shaved and cleaned himself up to be presentable and acceptable to the Pharaoh at the time. So another one was Genesis 45, a little further down, and 3, when Joseph revealed himself to his brothers. And so in my eyes, he was code switching the whole time he was working in Egypt and being with the Egyptians. Like he was code switching because he was he appeared as them, he dressed and looked like them, and he also spoke their language. Because remember, in the Bible, it said that he had an interpreter when they were talking to his brother. This was during the 7 years of famine. And during those 7 years, he had an interpreter. Well, during the 7 years when they came, the 7 years of famine, when they came to get the the food and pretty much stock up, he had an interpreter when he was communicating with his brothers. And it wasn't until after, like people were away a little bit, he confessed and told him like, it's me, Joseph, I'm your brother. Is my is my brother Benjamin still, still alive, and confessed himself to them. So he was code switching the whole time because the fact that he was speaking, the fact that he knew their language but wasn't speaking it, and he had an interpreter, Egyptian interpreter, and acted like he spoke the Egyptian language, it was showing that he was code switching the whole time while he was with the Egyptians, because he was looking like them. Everything he was doing, it was to fit in with the Egyptians. So that was something that made me think about code switching. And it goes as far as the Bible, when Joseph code switched to adapt to his environment and the culture that he was in. So I think that was just really interesting. And then we do have my style moment. This is one of my favorite segments, to be honest with y'all. I love a good style. So a lot of times you cannot see what I have on because sometimes the way I'm sitting, I think you can see my boots a little bit, but I have on this cute army fatigue skirt. They call it army fatigue, right? It's a mini skirt, so I put this little blanket over me because kind of the way I'm sitting is just, we want to keep it classy at all times. But I have a green army fatigue skirt on. I have this black like long sleeve shirt on, and then if you're listening, I also have a black like blazer vest over it, and the blazer vest kind of comes down like a little bit over the mini skirt. And so I have some black calf boots, and it has this cute little chain on the bottom of them. And so feel free to take a look at my Instagram. You'll be able to see the photos I took and see the full outfit, of course. And so once again, my Instagram is Gabriella Sabertini _, and you can see the full outfit because I love to make sure that I give y'all the full look on the gram. So check out my Instagram to get the full look for this style moment. And I also have a green beret on as well. I love a good beret. I have so many and so many different colors. And as you know, when I'm talking about God and the Bible, this girl is going to cover her hair every time. So I have a really cute beret on. And I also have these bomb earrings. So you really got to go check it out on my Instagram if you're listening. I have these bomb earrings on, and they're like army fatigue as well, like army fatigue colors. They're like green, brown, dark green, like green and brown, and they're so cute. I actually made them myself, and I'm going to have them on my site. My site is down right now, but I'm going to put my site back up where you can kind of buy some of my fashion pieces and also kind of like shop with me a little bit. So keep an eye out for that. And so that is my style moment. Tell me what you think, and let me know if you recreate this look, or let me know if you want to know where I get the pieces from. So that's my style moment. And lastly, I have confessions and corrections. So this is a new segment that I put into my podcast because I had a situation. I had a situation about, I want to say a couple days ago. Actually, I had one a couple days ago, and I had one at church yesterday. And so the first situation was a lady. I was in this community that I work with, and so I was in this community, and I love the community. When I tell you I love the community, I love the community down. And so I provide resources and like different things to just like help my people, right? And so the lady was like, "What you?" It was like late in the day, and she's like, "What you still doing over here? You ain't from here." And I was like, "I am here. Like I am here." So let's just say like Like, let's say if it was called uh Big Ship, okay? And so she's like, "What you doing? What you still doing here in Big Ship so late? You're not from Big Ship." And I was like, "I am Big Ship," and I was just like talking my stuff, like popping my stuff, just giving her banter. But it was somebody else around, and I already get the label of like being like sedity or stuck up when people don't know me. When they know me, they be like, "Oh, she's so cool." But when you don't know me, they think I'm stuck up. They think I'm sedity. They think I'm all the things, right? And so people were around that didn't know me, and I'm like, I am Big Ship, and I could just tell they were just like frowned up at me, like this stuck up girl, or like, and mind you, like Big Ship, this is their hood, right? And so me coming in being all like dressed up and stuff, talking about I am Big Ship, it was like they were looking at me like, and it wasn't everybody, it was just like two people, but I'm an empath, so I can feel how people feel and I can catch everything. And so I caught how they felt, and I just felt so convicted. And I was just playing, like I was just popping my stuff, I was just playing, but I felt so convicted, it was insane. And so I like after I was leaving, like when I once I got done taking care of my business, after I was leaving, I was looking for like the one of the main people that I saw face change when I said like I am Big Ship. And so I wanted to be like kind of like, I don't know, just smooth things over, but I didn't end up seeing her. So I just kind of left. But it really just sat with me wrong. So I'm like just confessing and correcting my behavior of like, even if you're playing, sometimes it's not the time, and be willing to smooth things over when you know you might have ruffled somebody's feathers, even if that wasn't your intention. Because I could have been like, well, I'm just playing. They know I'm just playing, so if they don't know I'm playing, that's on them. But I didn't want to have that attitude. I wanted to really just be humble, and because people already think I'm one way when they don't know me, I just wanted to just make sure I kept my Christian witness, because I'm really big about Christian witness, and part of being a Christian is being humble. And so I just wanted to make sure I kept my Christian witness. And so I wanted to go back and like apologize, and, you know, like not even necessarily like coming and apologizing, but just smoothing things over. Whatever conversation needed to happen, God was going to give it to me at the time, and I wanted to smooth it over. And so another confession correction was when I was at church, my energy was like off, and it's off a lot when I'm at church for some reason, and I don't know why. And I tend to focus on the people who make me feel uncomfortable more than the people that make me feel amazing. And I hate that because there's so many people at my church that makes me feel amazing, like that are beautiful people. And I was so thrown off because of the people that make me feel uncomfortable. And I hated that for me. I was like being off to the people that make me feel amazing because I was so uncomfortable by like, it's like, let's say it's like 11 people that make me feel amazing. I was focusing on the three people that make me feel uncomfortable. And I was so thrown off. I did not like it. So like I wanted, and I could like, once again, I don't know if you saw episode 3, but it's like, or it's episode two of like correcting yourself in real time. Like I wanted to correct myself in real time, and it's like I couldn't. I was stuck. So this is part of my confession and correction. So James 5:16 says, "Confess your faults one to another and pray one for another, that ye may be healed." And then I wanted to quote that because I feel like confessing in this moment that like my energy was off, or confessing that, you know, I might have like rubbed somebody the wrong way, can, especially publicizing it, can help people like just pray and keep me in their prayers of like making sure that I am steadfast on the things I'm supposed to do, and also being more hyper aware of how I make people feel and keeping my Christian witness good. So uh, I wanted to just quote that and just remind people that, you know, as Christians, we are supposed to remain humble. We're supposed to stay humble, remain humble, and also confessing our sins to one another so you may be healed, and so that people can pray for us and keep us in their prayers, that we continue to walk down the right path. So that is my topic for today. Once again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and leave a review on all streaming platforms. And then don't forget to answer the question. Let me know like how code switching feels to you, how it looks to you, and your thoughts on code switching, and if you have to do it for your profession every day. So, and I want to just double back down on code switching isn't also just like a situation where it's African American vernacular. It is any setting where you feel like you have to be anything outside of yourself. That's code switching. So thank you so much for watching A Seat with Sabertini. I will see you on episode 5. Okay, I love y'all. Later.